Do you want to know the main reason that I see brands and businesses flop? It's this one uncomplicated word: fear. Now don't switch off. This ain't no Tony Robbins woo-woo kind of video, although I do love those. In this video, I want to get so effing for real on why you're in your flop era. I'm going to be breaking down the 4 biggest blocks that I see holding creators and brands and businesses back, and exactly how to move through them. And when I say exactly how to move through them, I'm going to be giving you 4 very, very practical solutions that you can take away today, because this is your fearless era. And as your business fairy godmother, I'm about to give you exactly what you need to hear today. Let's get into it. Now, block number 1, and this is one that I've heard so many times from so many of my students. This is what I call perfectionism paralysis. This is the classic case of not posting at all because it's never good enough quality, because it's not polished enough, because why would I post this when somebody is out there doing it better than me? I'm talking to the guys that have edited the same reel 10 times, have reworked the caption 6 times, and are still not posting. Please give me a metaphorical hands up in the comments if this is you. Let me tell you a secret that I have learned working with many perfectionists. There is often a deeper rooted reason why you're relying so much on perfectionism. And the biggest culprit for this, my friends, is that F word: fear. I heard this quote once and it has never ever left my mind when it comes to perfectionists. And this quote says, "Perfectionism is fear dressed up as productivity." And that one really hit home. So if I'm talking to you right now, here are some practical ways that you can get over this and get over your damn self. So let's go deep for a second. Perfectionism is actually a control response. It is our silly, amazing brain's way of saying, if I can control everything, I can avoid getting hurt. And that hurt can come through many different avenues. It could be that you're avoiding pain of embarrassment, pain of being seen, the pain that comes with failure. You're avoiding some kind of pain, and you're avoiding that through perfectionism. Every single perfectionist that I have ever taught, myself included in this, we have built that habit to feel safe. And I want you to hear that. This is a part of your brain that is trying to keep you safe. Now, there is a really popular theory, and once I explain this theory to you, you are never going to forget it. But this theory says that our brains do not know the difference between TikTok and a tiger. This theory is called the evolutionary fear response. And it goes back to like prehistoric times. Now listen, I'm no scientist. I'm no scientist here, guys, so if I get some terminology wrong, my scientists get in the comments. It goes back to prehistoric times when we were literally in danger for our lives. And that fear, that same fear response, was the very thing that triggered fight, flight, freeze, and it kept us alive against actual predators, against starvation, against really freaking bad weather. And the part of the brain responsible for fear is called the amygdala. And the amygdala, for all of the amazing things that it does, it cannot distinguish the difference between physical danger and social danger. Back in the day when we heard a little rustle in the bushes, fear told us to get out of that situation. But now, when most of us, God willing, live in very safe environments, hopefully, the world has evolved, but that part of our brain hasn't really kept up. So now our brain, it doesn't have to protect us from woolly mammoths and tigers and whatever. So it protects us from rejection, from flopping online, from looking silly. All of those things fire up the same neurological pathways that it once did when a tiger was chasing us. And very often that is the root of your perfectionism. It's not that you want to be perfect. It's not that you want the post to be perfect, really. It's that you fear something that comes from the lack of perfectionism. That is why you literally feel unsafe when you're showing yourself online. Your brain recognizes that as danger. So that perfectionism that you might have tried to shun for years and years and seen as a negative part of your personality is actually a little bit of a superpower, because it's got us here. But here's the truth that I want all my perfectionists to hear. You are not in danger. That hate comment, it can't really hurt you. If a post flops, it doesn't really hurt you. Maybe your pride like an eeny weeny bit. Anytime going forward from this video that you feel fear start to creep up, I want you to ask yourself this one very simple question. What is the worst that can happen? The very first video that I posted in this series, I've been so scared of hate comments for so long, but I posted it anyway. I got a couple of hate comments, and guess what? We're still here. One of my posts gets like 10 likes and nobody sees it. What is the worst that can happen? Nothing. I am not physically hurt. I'm not even mentally hurt when this happens. The idea of it flopping is worse than the actual reality of it flopping. And sometimes we need to remind our brain of that. We need to remind that part of ourselves, I'm not being hunted. I'm not in danger. Thank you so much for trying to protect me, but I'm okay. So whereas fear's job used to be protection, now fear comes out in a few different ways. lies. And one of those is procrastination via perfectionism. Once you kind of understand the way that your brain works, things just start to change a little bit. Now, if I put my business hat back on for just a second as well, perfectionism is actually getting a little bit uncool. I want you to take the likes of Emma Chamberlain, who has literally built a business off of being unpolished. Her brand isn't about perfectionism, and she is deemed as one of the coolest brands out there for Gen Z. Her brand is about the unperfectionism of it all. I think gone are the days of the perfect grid. And I'm seeing this in real time. A lot of those big influencers that made their following and made their money of having perfectly curated flat lays, a superposed static image of an outfit of the day. These creators, if you go and look at their engagement rate, it ain't engagement rating anymore. Post-COVID, people are leaning into authenticity, and authenticity and perfectionism do not go hand in hand. So if you need a little bit of a business excuse, that is the perfect reason to be a little bit less perfect. Now, I also want to talk about what perfectionism is costing you, because every single time that you hold back a post or a product or a launch because it just ain't perfect enough, that is you telling your brain that it is not safe to be seen unless it's flawless. I want to say that again for the back row. Every single time that you don't post something and you don't show up because it's not perfect enough, you are literally telling your brain it is not safe to be seen unless I am flawless. And the problem with that is that flawlessness never arrives. You will literally train it to not be good enough ever. And I think the biggest problem with this is that while you are hesitating and holding yourself back and making yourself smaller, somebody else isn't. Somebody else is pressing post, somebody else is publishing, somebody else is making the idea that you are holding yourself back from. And it is categorically proven that the creator that posts at 80% will always out-earn the one perfecting at 100%. Perfectionism is the thing that kills your momentum, and momentum is the driving force behind your brand, behind your business, behind making money. You don't get confidence from waiting to be perfect. You get confidence from doing until you get to a quality level that you're happy with. So my recovering perfectionists, this is what we're going to do moving forward. From this moment on, whenever you start to hear your brain or just feel fear bubble up inside you, I want you to ask yourself that question that I told you earlier. What is the worst that can happen? If I press post, what is the worst that can happen? If I get one view, what is the worst that can happen? And that's going to help you start to identify what really is fear and what really is danger from what isn't. It kind of disarms it a bit. Now, another really good trick, and I can't remember who taught me this, but I definitely heard it on a podcast, is to give yourself a fear timer. Set yourself a timer for 20 minutes, and in that 20 minutes, you have to edit, you have to post the piece of content that you're working on, all in 20 minutes. There is no rewatching, there is no tweaking, there is no spending 40 minutes on the caption alone. You are hitting publish before fear can start to negotiate with you. And this is the only time that I'm going to give you guys permission to post and ghost. This one is also really powerful because if you're somebody who gets super distracted online, giving yourself a 20-minute timer, you will be so shocked how much you can get done in 20 minutes. Honestly, sometimes I give myself like a 2-hour timer and I say, Kaylee, you have to get done everything on your to-do list in these 2 hours. And that list would have literally taken me all day, but I do it in 2 hours. I think if you give your brain time, it will use that time. But if you give your brain a deadline, it will do it in the deadline. Now, the third tip that I have for perfectionists is if you're going to be a perfectionist, do it the right way. Do not be a perfectionist over what you're creating. Be a perfectionist over the data that comes from creating. Instead of spiraling, look at those numbers. If you need help deciphering what those numbers mean, I have a great video here, by the way. I always find with perfectionists, they are often hyper-focusing on the wrong thing to be perfect about. For me, I would rather channel that perfectionism into the data and into learning and gathering information about what I'm posting. That there is a much more productive use of my perfectionism. Now, I'm hoping that that section has made you feel just a little bit more fearless, which reminds me, I have not said this yet, but welcome to your fearless era and welcome back to my Eras Tour, Kaylee's version. This is a 12-part business series that I'm running from now until Christmas, inspired by, in case you hadn't guessed it, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. And every single week, I will be bringing you a training based on one of her iconic albums. Swifties, I've got you. But I hear you, I see you, I see you. The people who do not like Taylor Swift, the people who do not know Taylor Swift. If you can get past the 2 Taylor Swift references that I give you, I promise you, you're gonna learn something. This whole course is designed to set you and your personal brand up for the biggest success in 2026. So if you can deal with 1 or 2 references, I promise you, you're gonna learn something. So strap in, grab those notebooks, and let's move on to block number 2. This one is a shout out to all of my peeps that say, I don't know what to post. You've said it, I've said it, My students always say it. This is the I don't know what to post block. And my answer to this is always the same one. If you do not know what to post, you do not know your audience well enough. You do not know your ideal client well enough. And this block is kind of nice because unlike fear-based blocks, which take a lot of work, you can't just click your fingers and not be scared anymore. But this one is a knowledge-based block. And the great thing about I don't know blocks is that they can be taught. So the chances are, if you've caught yourself saying this, you do not have a content problem. You, my friends, have an audience clarity problem. The problem that you guys have is that you have forgotten who you're talking to. And listen, this is so easily done. The social media space is so damn overwhelming. There are so many conflicting opinions online about what we should be doing, about what we should be posting, about our posting schedule. And then there's trends, and then there's shiny object syndrome, and I should be doing this, and I should be doing that. And it is overwhelming. It is so easy to forget the fundamental thing that we should be posting for our person. So put quite simply, every single post, every single caption, every single YouTube video that I create needs to have a purpose. It needs to talk directly to a person, that unique person, that niche that you're in, that niche that you're directly talking to. And when you don't know what to post, you are forgetting that person right there. So if this is you, if you are stuck for content ideas right now, I want us to reconnect with our person. Let's get to know them a little bit. So I want you to open up a brand new page and just envision and think about your perfect follower, your perfect customer, your perfect brand. Whatever it is that your goal is, your perfect person that you're doing this shit for, I want you to envision them. Chances are you've probably met them. You've probably had them as a customer before. They probably follow you. So start to create a character, a persona about them. You can ask yourself all of those standard questions like their name, their age, their location, but I want us to go a little bit deeper. I want us to think less about demographics and more about emotion and situation. So ask yourself, what are they currently going through? What do they want? What are they scared to say out loud? What would make them press follow? What content would change their lives right now? Literally pause the video and jot that shit down, because even just one of those answers will give you 10 content ideas. And I don't want you to speak to their polished version. I want you to speak to the 2 a.m. version of them, the person that's up all night, the person that can't sleep, the person that has problems, the version of them that is lying awake at night asking themselves, are they good enough? You are speaking to that person. And that is the version that you are creating for. And I can give you a super real life example of this channel right here. Initially, and some of you guys might remember this, I started out vlogging. I was vlogging food festivals, I did Vlogmas, and I was throwing educational content here and there. And I was not growing. Why is that? Because put quite simply, I was creating selfish content. We need to give credit for Inspired Media Co for coining that phrase. When I was vlogging, I wasn't talking to anyone in my content other than to myself. I wasn't giving anybody a reason to follow me. And I was looking at my YouTube channel and I was so frustrated. Why am I not growing? And then it hit me. I don't have a niche. I don't have an audience. I'm not speaking to anyone. So I switched it up. I said to myself, what am I good at and what can I help people with? What are some of the things that I was struggling with in the beginning that I can speak to now? What would that Kaylee back then want to see, hear? What would help her? And the biggest thing that I want you guys to hear, especially if you're trying to grow, is people need a reason to follow you, to subscribe to you, to be interested in you beyond selfish content. If you're a musician, they need to be entertained and invested in you as an artist. So create content for that. If you're a makeup artist, they need to see content that fills a need of theirs, whether they are looking for a makeup artist for their wedding or whether they are looking to be educated. Speak to that in your content. You talk to that. You talk to that person through your screen. And once you know that person inside out, front to back to front, you will never be stuck for a content idea again. I always have quite a lot to say about Ideal Client. Ideal Client is one of those things that I have taught so much on. It's one of those things I'm so passionate about. So if you want to see a whole video on Ideal Client, let me know and I'll bring it to you next year. Okay, let's move on to block number 3. And this one, my friends, is called the validation trap. It's the nobody cares block. And this one is probably my personal nemesis. This is the block that I have to work through the most. So let's be real for a second. You create a video, you've spent hours on it. The edit is chef's kiss, 10 out of 10, one of the best you've ever done. You're so proud of it and you post it and it gets 20 views, 3 likes, 1 pity comment from your mum, and then you delete it. And you say it doesn't matter. You tell everyone it doesn't matter, that just flopped. But deep down, it really did matter. And in that moment there, the moment where it matters, that is when we have made it personal. We have taken content, we have taken numbers, we have taken metrics, and we've made it about us. This is what I call the validation trap, and it's a very easy trap to fall into when you work online. This is what happens when your worth starts swinging on the same pendulum as your analytics. When the likes go up, you're killing it, you're confident, you're on top of the world. But when the likes go down, when you're in your flop era, you question everything. Should I get a part-time job? Should I just pack it all in? Who has been here, by the way? I live here currently. This is one of the biggest blocks that keep me from being fearless. This paired with fear of perception, my biggest nemesis. And at its core, I think a lot of us think that this stems from ego, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't. This stems from wanting to feel a sense of belonging. Our brains as humans, we are literally wired for human connection. So the moment something flops or the moment something doesn't do so well in a public place, our brain literally reads that as you're not good enough. And somewhere along the way, those numbers become proof. The danger here isn't in wanting validation. That's literally human. We are allowed to want to be validated, but the danger is letting it become your guiding compass and letting that guide decisions around your business and your brand and what you post and how often you post and your worth. Because what is the point if we only move when people clap for us? And do you want to know who is a complete masterclass in the validation loop? Miss Taylor Swift. I feel like Miss Swift has gone through this in a very, very public way. She has literally lived out the validation trap at multiple points in her career. So let's dissect that. Those early days, and I'm talking about the Fearless album right now. She built her brand in the early days on connection with her fans. She was the good girl of country music. She was the American sweetheart. And every lyric, every award show speech was rooted in wanting to feel a sense of belonging. She wanted to be liked. She wanted to be relatable, and she's done several interviews that talk to that. But when your identity is built on the approval of others, you are only ever one headline away from collapse, which she learned very, very publicly. In 2016, when the dreaded Kim and Kanye scandal hit headlines, Taylor didn't just lose fans, she lost the entire public perception. The entire internet turned on her. Was anyone here on the internet in that era? Because I was. It was like the Twitter days. It was crazy out here to be a Taylor Swift fan. Magazines called her fake, manipulative, calculated. By the way, there is a brilliant intro to her Reputation tour where she collects everything negative that anyone's ever said about her and made it her tour intro. It's literally like goosebumps. And in this moment, she publicly faced what so many of us completely dread. What happens when nobody cares anymore? What happens when you're so vapidly disliked? And to me, it was this that made her truly become Taylor Swift, the superstar. It was the Reputation era. That album, that era was a full-blown experiment in detachment. She disappeared, she deleted everything. Does anybody remember when her Instagram, she just wiped it? She stopped trying to please everyone. She stopped trying to be liked by the masses. And she built the Reputation album out of silence and scrutiny. And if I recall, I think she's done this a few times, to be honest. I would even say The Life of a Showgirl is a little bit of this. I'm literally taking the snake emoji that Kim Kardashian tweeted out in reference to her, and she monetized that shit. She made it part of her tour set. She made it a headliner in her very first music video back. And I really do think Reputation was just a turning point in her confidence overall. Because Taylor's journey, I feel, really, really shows us exactly what happens when you stop trying to be liked by the masses and stop trying to appease everybody and stop trying to round off your harsh edges and create albums for your people, for yourself, for your experiences. And as a result of that, Taylor Swift wasn't just Taylor Swift the pop star. An amazing happy consequence that came from her finally taking ownership and not needing to be liked by everyone anymore is she turned from Taylor Swift the cutesy pop star to Taylor Swift the absolute icon. And if we relate this back to us as creators, there are so many creators out there that get burnt out, that get broke because they are feeding an algorithm, because they are trying to appease everyone, because they monitor their success based on pixels on a screen and on how great their last post did. The numbers, my friends, the numbers are exciting, don't get me wrong. The very first video in my Eras Tour, Kaylee's version, blew the heck up. It was the first time I've ever had that happen on YouTube. And I actually remember Robbie, my fiance, he turned to me and he said, "Why are you not like super excited?" And I had to explain to him, I'm trying to detach my worth from numbers because the next video probably isn't going to do that well. And if I celebrate this too hard, if I get too attached to this, I'm going to fall so much harder when the numbers stop numbering for me. So if this is you, if you are somebody that looks at your numbers far too much, attaches their worth to numbers and to how well posts do, So how do we shift it? That mindset where we don't care anymore and we just post. It's so hard, right? Well, actually, it's probably a little bit more simple than you might think. To me, because this has been such a work in progress and I'm really, really proud of how far I've come with this, it has come down to being very, very intentional with what I do, what I post, and why I'm posting it. And sometimes when I feel myself start to attach myself and my self-worth to numbers, I come down to one simple question. Am I posting this to be seen, or am I posting this to add value to my audience? If it's the first, I pause. If it's the second, I post. What it does come down to though is you being able to recognize when these thought patterns start to pop up. It's you starting to recognize when you're getting attached to numbers. It's when you start to recognize when your worth is being attached to the highs of your business and not the lows. And it's almost the practice of stoicism. When it's great, fine. If it's bad, fine. So I have 2 exercises that can help you with this block. The first one is asking that question. Am I doing this to be seen? Am I doing this for ego? However you want to frame that, ask yourself it every single time that you post. Because if your inner monologue is telling you are doing this to add value to your audience, even if 10 people see that post, that is 10 people who are going to be impacted by your post. It reframes the reason. You're not doing this for pixels on a screen. You're doing this for people. And I think that one is very, very powerful. You start to reframe what flop is. I also want to bring it back to numbers for just a second, because those of you that think, why should I post? Who cares what I have to say? We need to reframe that a little bit, because that can actually be very, very empowering and very, very freeing. If you're saying to me, oh, Kaylee, I only have 2 followers, who cares? You need to reframe that to, I only have 2 followers, which means I get to be messy. You don't want to be messy when you've got 100K followers. It's not, oh, nobody cares what I have to say. It's, oh my God, nobody cares what I have to say. That means I get to experiment. I think when you have a smaller following, that is your prime time to be so messy, to throw so much spaghetti and to really figure your shit out. And that is something that not a lot of creators can do when they're in their bigger followings. To use that smaller following, use the fact that nobody cares as freedom. Nobody cares, so I can do whatever the hell I want. I want us to move on to my 4th and final block that I see stopping creators and stopping businesses from just absolutely killing it. And this one is the biggest one, my friends. It's the I don't know how squad. I don't know how to do a good voiceover. I don't know how to start YouTube. I don't know how to edit. I'm not good with technology. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with business. I am talking to you guys. And what happens because you don't know? You freeze. You put off posting. You wait until you know more. And here's what I want you to know. Nobody knew this shit. Every single creator was not born. They did not come out of the womb knowing how to talk on camera. They did not know how to edit. They did not know how to do a voiceover. They did not know how to make a YouTube video. Nobody comes out of the womb knowing how to do this. Every single creator that you love, every single gigantic YouTuber, every single person that has 1 million followers started exactly where you are. But the biggest difference between you and them is that they started. They were fearless. And every single time they did it, they got a little bit better. They learned how to edit a bit quicker. They learned how to up their quality. They progressively got better and better every single time through repetition. That is the only difference between you and them. They are not better. They just learned to be better. And guess what? You can do that too. Here are some examples of this, by the way. I'm going to insert just a few videos here of my very first reels when I was terrified to talk on camera. Nobody teaches you how to talk on camera. The very, very first podcast episode that I released, go and listen to that because I am terrified. Then go and listen to my 200th episode. And if you need an example of this, I want you to go and look at any creator that you love, any creator that you admire, any creator that you would love to be like, and go and look at their very first post. Go and watch their very first video, go and listen to their very first podcast, and look then at how many videos it took. You need to hear this. This is some tough freaking love, because sometimes I've got to give it. For you to truly become fearless, you need to hear this. The not knowing isn't the problem here, because the wonderful thing about not knowing is it can be learnt. It is a skill. Editing is a skill that can be learned. And you can learn literally anything online for free now. I learned how to edit my podcast, how to edit these YouTube videos from YouTube. And I want you to humble yourself right now, because if you are scared that you are not good enough, if you're scared to get on YouTube or start your own podcast, hear this. You are not the first person to tread this ground. You are not the first person to ever film a YouTube video, and you're certainly not going to be the last. Heck, you're not even going to be the first person in space anymore. Somebody has already trodden this exact path before you did. So let that give you confidence. Let that be proof to your little brain that this shit is not impossible. It can be learned, it can be worked out, and you need to give yourself more credit. You are smart enough to learn this stuff. All you have to do is learn the basics and every single time get better. That is all it takes. And I think the biggest problem that most of us have, and this is where I'm gonna give you some tough love, is that we do not give ourselves the patience to learn anything. It does take hours to learn editing, and you do not give yourself that. I think this just comes from short form media in general has made us really impatient. Like, we want things and we want them yesterday. I want to know how to edit yesterday, but some things you just can't. You just have to give yourself hours in the game to learn it. And you've definitely done harder than what you're trying to learn, especially if you guys have had children. My God, that shit's probably harder than this. Be a beginner. Allow yourself to be a beginner and have some damn patience. If you're not good at voiceovers, give yourself an hour. Film 10 voiceovers and listen to the difference between voiceover number 1 and voiceover number 10. And that, my friends, is officially your homework this week. And I hope that this whole video has made you feel at least 1% more fearless in the pursuit of your goals. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me on episode 3 of the Errors Talk Kaylee's version. I really want to take a moment, just a little moment. This is my Oscar speech, but my YouTube had like a mini blow up moment. I know I said this last week, but it just kept growing and growing and growing. And I'm so grateful. If you have ever liked, if you have ever commented, please, no comments are my love language. If you have ever shared, if you have ever just DM'd me or followed me over on Instagram, please know I'm so grateful for that. And you guys are making me feel so at home over here on YouTube. This is definitely my favorite platform. Just don't tell my podcast I said that. I'm getting a ton of wonderful, honestly, these comments make my life, wonderful comments asking how you guys can work with me. And honestly, the best thing that you can do if you want to work together is just go and follow my Instagram at by Kaylee Podcast, because I'm always posting on my stories if I have any coaching spots available. And also I have a pretty gnarly sale coming on Monday. So there are going to be tons of discounted ways that you can work with me from Monday onwards. If you have made it this far, please leave me a comment, because that is my love language, on which era you are looking forward to the most. I personally am a Reputation girly, so I'm really looking forward to the Reputation era. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but I've really been trying to dress like the eras that I've been teaching. So in week 1, I was wearing orange. In week 2, I was wearing white, and I really tried to put on like a little gold top for you guys. Next week, it's officially Speak Now week. And this is the week where we're going to be revisiting our personal brand from week 1 and working out our brand voice. But we don't want to think about that for now. For now, we are in our fearless era. I hope that you love this training, and I will catch you guys back here next week. Bye, guys.